Okay, good evening. Welcome to a windy and cloudy Glasgow. This flight isn't using real time or real world weather. Reason being it's dark and I believe exceptionally windy today. However, let me take a look. I can't remember. I think it's set around about 10 o'clock in the morning and with some scattered clouds. So today's flight is in the Beech Baron, flying at 8,000 feet, and we are going to fly a standard instrument departure, I think from runway 23 here at Glasgow. We're going to fly a CLYDE 3 Alpha departure. That's our flight plan, and there is the standard instrument departure chart. So the CLYDE 3 Alpha is from runway 23. It says to climb straight ahead, intercept radial 226 from the Golf Oscar VOR. At 4.7 nautical miles, turn right 336 and track to cross 10 nautical miles from the VOR at or above 5,000 feet, max 6,000 to CLYDE at 6,000. So it's a fairly straightforward departure, climbing straight ahead, making a right hand turn towards CLYDE, which is on the 298 radial from Glasgow. So that's the CID. This is the flight plan, basically showing us heading from Glasgow westbound towards Tiree, and then making a bit of a turn at Tiree and heading up to Barra and making a landing on the beach at Barra. So that's all that taken care of. What we'll do is we will make sure my pen's working first, so that's working. We'll turn everything on just now so we can get the weather.
Glasgow Airport information, Mike 10000 Zulu. Wind 272 at 20. Visibility, niner. Sky condition, ceiling 1,700 feet broken. Temperature, 15. Dew point, 13. Altimeter, 29.902. ILS, runway 23 in use. Landing and departing runway 23. DSR, aircraft, say direction of flight. All aircraft read back all short instructions. Advise controller, on initial contact, you have Mike.
Okay, so let's get rid of that. So winds are very slight crosswind from the right, 20 knot wind, visibility 9 miles, skies are 1,700 feet broken, and it's runway 23 in use, so we have that. So I'll just turn this off just now and we'll run through the checklist. The parking brake is set. Seatbelts are fastened and secured. Gear selector is down. Throttles are idle. Propeller controls are full forward now. Mixture is idle. Cowl flaps are open. The fuel selectors are on. Radio masters off, electrical switches are off, heater switches are off, and the prop sync is on. Alternators on. Battery master on. Beacons on. Anti-collision lights are on. Gear lights 3 green. Prop control high RPM. So engine number 1. Mixture control is full rich. Throttle is full open. Fuel boost pumps will. Oops.
TARS system test.
That wasn't very clear.
Okay.
Alright, so the fuel boost pump is running. So that should do. Throttle closed, open 1/4 inch. Magneto right, left, both, and start. So the oil pressure is in the green, alternator load is in the green. We have no warning lights. So that's engine number 1 started, so we'll repeat the procedure for engine 2. Mixture control full forward, throttle control full open. We'll run the boost pump for a little bit. That'll do. Close the throttle, open 1/4 inch. Magnetos right, left, both, and start. So again, oil pressure's in the green, alternator load's in the green, we have no annunciator warning lights. So, avionics are now on. While this is setting up, we will set this up. So, wind option 3, bearing 1, bearing 2. Turn the pitot heat on, that gets rid of that warning. We're going to go to 8,000 feet, so we'll dial that in. And the SID called for the radial 226. That's 226. The Golf Oscar Whiskey is 115.4. The Tiree is 117.7. 117.7. So that's all dialed in. So continuing down this checklist, avionics are on. We have the weather. Altimeter is set 2992, and that's given us 26 feet. Local. Transponders are set to 7,000 in standby. Fuel selectors, we need to switch to crossfeed now. So that's crossfeed. Taxi lights are on. Oil temperatures are in the green. And we'll test the brakes. They seem fine. There's right. So let's talk to the tower and see if they'll give us taxi clearance.
Glasgow ground, Beechcraft Golf. Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo request taxi for west departure with Mike.
Beechcraft Golf. Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo taxi to in hold short of runway 23 via taxiway Quebec Golf Alpha Bravo. Contact tower on 118.805 when ready.
Okay, so we are clear to taxi.
Hold short runway 23 via taxiway Quebec Golf Alpha Bravo Beechcraft Alpha Romeo Kilo.
So we'll release the brakes. So this is some additional scenery. This isn't standard scenery for Glasgow Airport. Oh. There's a bit of a dip here, which I don't believe is in there in real life. But nothing is perfect in the world of flight sim. I don't believe that you would find a Hercules parked in amongst the general aviation parking, but there's one there. So one thing I'm going to do while we're taxiing out is change the map setup from north up to heading up. So that's that done. And we'll set the range to 20 miles on the map. I will open my little app on my phone as well. We're just about at the holding point here for 23. Well, that'll do us about here. So we will apply the parking brake. Just going to check on the winds. Winds are shown at 6 knots now, but he did say it was 20. So I was just using a little app there that gives me a correction for the winds. After departure, we'll just have to make sure that that is still correct. So before takeoff checklists, we will be flying a CLYDE 3 Alpha departure from runway 23. The flaps are retracted, fuel boost pumps are off, anti-collision lights are on, beacon is on, landing lights on, transponder is 7000 standby, mixtures are full rich, autopilot is off, yaw dampener is off, the cowl flaps are open, and we have pitot heat for ice protection. Outside air temperature is shown as quite high, so we won't need ice protection just now. Alright, so that's the before takeoff checklist complete. We can talk to the tower and request our takeoff clearance.
Glasgow Tower Beechcraft Golf. Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo ready at runway 23 west departure.
Beechcraft Golf. Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo altimeter 29.9 wind 272 at 20. West departure approved. Cleared for takeoff runway 23.
So we're cleared for takeoff.
Cleared for takeoff runway 23.
There's nothing on approach, nothing on the runway. Okay, so we're all lined up, and positive rate. Gears coming up.
Beechcraft Alpha Romeo Kilo, continue for west departure. Beechcraft Alpha Romeo Kilo, leaving my airspace, frequency change approved.
Okay, so
Glasgow Tower Beechcraft Golf, Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo, frequency change.
I'm going to enable the autopilot just to make things a little bit easier as we climb out. Set the so first things first, we need to reduce the engine RPM back to 2500. Okay, so in the middle of the navigational display, the green arrow, green line is lining up with the center there. So we can select nav mode, and that will track the 226 radial outbound from Glasgow. We need to start our turn at 4.7 nautical miles. So the winds are 270 at 12. And we have a true airspeed of 151 knots. So we need a 4-degree correction for the wind, so we'll turn 332. So that's us at 4 nautical miles. Four and a half, 4.6, 4.7. So we'll start the right hand turn and we will dial in the 298 radial. So we're just coming up on 6,000 feet. The SID did call not to climb above 6,000, but we're going to go up to 8. We'll just pretend that ATC cleared us. So we can run through the climb checks. Prop is set to 2500 RPM. Power is full throttle. Gear is up. Trim is set by the autopilot. Yaw dampeners are on. Cowl flaps are now closed. Fuel boost pumps are off, landing lights are off, taxi lights are off, and we are heading 332 to pick up the 298 radial outbound from Glasgow towards CLYDE and further on towards Tiree. So just having a little look at the weather, the cloud level there, so I think we'll probably climb up a little bit higher. We'll go up to 10,000. Just to get on top of this fluffy stuff. So that's us passing 8,000. That was our original level that would have, as you can see, have us pretty much in the thick of it. So we'll lean the mixture out a little bit as we climb higher. That's 9,000. that's us just starting to level out at 10,000. Doesn't look like this is going to be a particularly scenic flight because of the cloud. Alright, so that's the nav needle almost in the middle there. We'll reselect nav. That'll turn us outbound on the 298 radio up towards Tiree. We do have a reading from Tiree already. It's 81, just over 81 nautical miles to Tiree. And we're just under 10 knot outbound from Glasgow. So we'll switch over at the halfway point. So yeah, it's pretty cloudy. So we'll run through the cruise checks. Okay, so we have 2500 RPM on both engines. Trim set by the autopilot. Fuel boost pumps are off. Cowl flaps closed. Head and indicator. Well, we're in nav mode, tracking the 298 outbound from Glasgow, and it's -4 out there, so we'll turn on the windshield heat for anti-ice. So that's the cruise check complete. So let's have a look and see. We got 181 knots across the ground. We got a 12 knot headwind, so that's not great, but still we're doing about 200 miles an hour across the ground. As we head out westward towards the Hebrides. So let's switch to showcase view for a little bit. Not a whole lot to see. A few gaps in the clouds, but it's a fairly good covering. So I can just see down there, I think, let me just check. Come on. So yeah, that would have been down underneath us is I think the Noon. So I don't think there's any charts for Barra, So there is this is the layout of the airport at Barra. All the runways are on the beach, so we better hope that the tide is out, or we won't have anywhere to land. There are no there's a couple of RNP approaches. We're not flying using the GPS. Depending on the weather, as we get closer, we may need to switch to that, but hopefully we can find the airport ourselves. So that's that. So let's check in with ATC.
Glasgow approach Beechcraft Golf. Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo is type Beechcraft B5819er miles north Echo Golf Romeo Tango 10,000 feet. Request flight following.
Beechcraft Golf. Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo Glasgow approach. 1207, flight 4.
1075 for Beechcraft Alpha Romeo Kilo.
Beechcraft Alpha Romeo Kilo radar contact 20 miles north of Echo Golf Romeo Tango 10,000 feet. Altimeter 29.92.
Roger, Beechcraft Alpha Romeo Kilo.
Beechcraft Alpha Romeo Kilo contact Scottish Center on 119.875. Good day.
Going to 119.875 Beechcraft Alpha Romeo Kilo. Scottish Center Beechcraft Golf. Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo 10,000 feet.
Beechcraft Golf. Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo Scottish Center altimeter 29.92 continue as planned.
Okay, so that's all the radio work out the way. We're checked in with Scottish Control. They have us on radar and they're just keeping an eye on us. We're not flying an IFR flight plan as such. But we'll jump back in the cockpit so that we can check our position. So at the moment we're just under 32 nautical miles outbound from Glasgow and just under 58 inbound to Tiree. So there was 90 nautical miles between the two waypoints. So in about 12 miles or so we'll switch across to the Tiree VOR and we'll track inbound to the VOR as opposed to outbound on the Glasgow VOR right now. So not a lot to see because of the clouds. So, we are coming up on 45 nautical miles, both inbound and outbound. So, we will set our heading to 297, which is what we're flying right now. It's just a heading mode. And we will change nav 1 and nav 2 around, recenter the needle, and we'll reselect nav hold, and now we are flying inbound to the Tiree VOR. Very, very slight change on the radio. It's 296 as opposed to 298. And just checking the flight plan here. So once we get to Tiree, we'll be turning and heading 333 for 37 nautical miles, and that'll take us up towards Barra. Just noticed that there is an NDB at Barra, so I'm going to dial that in just here. So it was 316. 316. So that's in. So that'll give us a little extra help navigationally should we need it. Not that we'll be able to see it. The Isle of Mull is just off to the right hand side. The clouds have kind of spoiled the show a little bit. And somewhere down there Colonsea. Again, it's kind of spoiled by these clouds. Can't really pick much out through the gaps. That's the Mull, just beyond the aircraft down there on the right hand side. Still from the west at 12 knots, so that's pretty constant, so we can put in our calculator. 333, true airspeed is 193, wind directions 270 at 12, so it's a 3-degree correction should the wind stay the same at the turn, which is in about 33 nautical miles from here. So I switched things around in the room a little bit so that the streaming PC is now where my gaming PC used to sit. Kind of figured that having paid all that money for all the fancy RGB, it's a bit of a shame to have the glass side against the wall. Slight breaks in the clouds here, but still fairly well covering absolutely almost everything. So that would be Mull below us. Somewhere down there below us is Finport. And we're out over the open water for a little while till we reach Tiree. So we're 23 nautical miles to Tiree right now, which means that we're around about 50 or 60 miles to reach our destination, Barra. So let's see if we can... Barra Airport is available.
Tower Beech Craft Call. Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo White, 6 miles southeast, 10,000 feet to land.
Beech Craft Call. Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo White. Altimeter 29er decimal 9er, 2 wind 273 at 20. Fly straight in runway 29er.
So I have no idea where this is. Forgot that I was in showcase view. So we just spoke to the tower. Tower cleared us to fly straight into runway 29. So if I open this chart, runway 29 is the slightly shorter of the 3 runways. I suppose that the whole beach is available. Let's see if there was approaches for 29. There is not. So we will just use. So let's see what the information says. Warnings. Landing and takeoff areas may be considerably ridged by hard sand and contain pools of standing water. These these are potential hazards to aircraft. Downdrafts may be experienced at the western end of runway 725. So we're using 29s. Be aware that cockling activities frequently take place between the runway markers and the tide line. Both pedestrian and vehicular activity may occur and from the air may appear to infringe the runway thresholds during published opening hours. This activity is closely monitored by the Flight Information Service. A flashing white light on top of the control tower advises local pedestrians that an aircraft movement is imminent and is no way to be used as a navigation aid by aircrew. Pilots must be able to see and avoid obstacles on takeoff and landing. Well, that's pretty unique as far as airport information goes. Let's have a look. So, alrighty, so we can get rid of that, and we're about 13 nautical miles out just now from Tiree, and so we should maybe start thinking about a gentle descent. So 9,000 to lose, 27. Right. Actually hold off our descent until we pass Tiree. And let's just check the winds. Winds are still the same. Are still the same, so the turn was going to be 330. So what we can do as well is we can change nav 2 to track the ADF. Not picking it up at the moment. And you can see Tiree down there on the synthetic vision. Can't see it out the window. There's maybe a little bit of it down there through the clouds. Speed of 182 knots, which means that we'll start our turn 1.8 nautical miles from the actual VOR. So a little bit more just so I can. So we're 3.5 nautical miles from the Tiree VOR. So 2.8, so we'll make the turn in a mile. we'll start the turn and we'll redial in our outbound course. So that's us over the top of the VOR now. Right, so we will start our descent. Bring the power back a little bit. So, reselect nav. And we're now tracking towards Barra. So we're on the final part of the flight plan, having just turned at this waypoint here, Tiree, and we're now flying up towards Barra. And we are descending from 10,000 down to 1,000 feet. And hopefully that'll get us down below this cloud. We didn't get any weather reading from the tower, I don't think. I apologize, we did. The wind's 273 at 20. And it was runway 29 that we were to use. However, Barra is nothing but a beach, so it will be pretty hard to miss, assuming the tide is out. Data from the Barra NDB thus far. Okay, so we'll run through the in-range checklist. We have we don't have the ATIS, but the tower gave us the winds. Altimeter is set 2992. Ice protection, we have windshield heat and pitot heat. Cowl flaps, we can open them up. Mixture is, we'll leave that where it is at the moment. We'll make that a little bit richer as we descend. Fuel selectors are on, fuel boost pumps are off, landing lights are on, and the seat belts are fastened and secured. So we're just passing 5,000 feet. We got around about 25 miles to reach Barra. We're starting to descend through this cloud. big break in the clouds here out over the open sea. So, if I open this again, this is our destination. There is a bay just to the right hand side of that magenta line. We're not going to follow the magenta line all the way up. Basically, once we reach the coast, we'll make a right hand turn and navigate our way up and into the bay, and we will look to find runway 29 on the sand and look for our beach landing at Barra. So 3,000 feet, we got about another 10 miles or so to run. We can shallow this descent now a little bit. We'll keep the speed up for now. One of the great things about propeller aircraft is that you can pretty much keep the speed up till very late. Bit of a nasty ridge of cloud here. I hope this isn't gonna affect us too much. So that's 2,000 feet. We've got another 1,000 feet to descend. You can just about see the island in the distance through the clouds. Hopefully another few hundred feet we'll have broken below this cloud. Otherwise it's going to make things a little bit difficult. Okay, 500 feet until we reach 1,000 feet. Just about see the beach through the cloud ahead of us. Start to slow down a little bit. Bring the mixture up to the ridge. Okay, so we are clear of this cloud. So we will turn towards the north set ourselves up for a base leg. So we're about 4 miles out, so we better think about running the before landing checks. So we're going to look for about 115 of an approach speed, 1 notch of flaps, which I've just set, and gear down. So the speed's starting to bleed off. Come down to so we'll descend down to 500 feet. That's the tower giving us our landing clearance.
Cleared to land runway 29er Beechcraft Alpha Romeo Kilo.
Upon 500 feet. I'll disengage the autopilot. So, speeds are good. We need to slow down just a little bit. Tides are not ideal for this, but that beach looks a lot shorter than the last time I came here, but it is what it is. Okay.
118.08 for Beechcraft Alpha Romeo Kilo.
So we landed, we didn't tip over. We didn't go down any holes. So that was good. So here's the terminal up here. So we'll taxi taxi on up to, looks like a bit of a ridge there, so I'll stop here. I'll apply the parking brake. So after landing checks, flaps are up, cowl flaps are already open, landing and taxi lights are on, but we can turn them off. Strobes are off. Transponder is still set to the last assigned by ATC. Ice protection, pitot heat is off, and we can turn the windshield heat off as well. So throttles we can bring back to cut out. That's the engine stopped. So magnetos are off. Fuel selectors are off. Oh, are they? Fuel selectors are now off. And alternators and battery master can come off, and that will be the end of our journey. So 46 minutes and 47 seconds from Glasgow to Barra, and our beach landing on runway 29. So that's it for now. Adios.